Hi, Carissa here again with Southern Homegrown. In today's video, I want to go over a little anatomy and a few different terms that you'll probably hear during your pregnancy and labor, and kind of go from there. So, to start off, we want to talk about, I guess we can start with your placenta. That is going to actually be the sac that your baby is living in as of right now. And the baby is in here. Oh, hold on. There. The baby is, let me go ahead and attach this. Got to be attached. So that's how your baby is getting its nutrients, its oxygen, because they're not actually breathing through their lungs. They are breathing through your through the umbilical cord and getting it through the placenta. So the baby is in this sac. It's filled with water, and it is your placenta. You have the maternal side, which is connected to the mother. And then you have the fetal side, which is where your umbilical cord attaches to your baby. And that is how your baby gets its nutrients. It's protected in the sac of water. And this is where your baby will grow and mature and then be ready to be born later. So you also have, let me unhook this right quick. You also have what the baby has called as fontanelles, the different parts of the baby's scalp and the top of the head. And they are not fused together like adults. They are actually, they're separated, so that when the baby comes through the birth canal, they are able to, let's see, hold on, let's get this in here. I don't know, that baby's sunny side up now. So anyway, the fontanelles and the scalp is able to squeeze together for the baby to be able to come through the birth canal and give more space for the baby. And, it doesn't hurt the baby. That's the way it was designed for the baby to do. And they will rotate as they come out. So anyway, but we'll discuss that later. But mainly I just wanted to inform you on the body parts and the fontanelles and how all that works, as far as, they are not fused together. They will mold. That's why it's important for it to take the time that it needs to be able to come through the birth canal, so that molding can take place and there won't be as much trauma on the baby as when it comes out. But like we said, there was the placenta. It's the little sac the baby lives in. Then the uterus is what the sac and the baby are in. Like I said, we talked about the umbilical cord, how the baby gets its nutrients, and the amniotic fluid, which is, like we said, the water in the sac. And this is when they say your water breaks. This is what comes out, is your amniotic fluid. You get your cervix here. I don't know if you can see that, but it will dilate, and your cervix dilates, and you'll also have something called effacement. There's your pubic bone and your bladder. These are your pelvic bones and your pelvic floor muscles. Those are the ones that kind of help hold everything up and in. So generally the placenta weighs about 1.5 pounds and the uterus weighs about 2 pounds, and you usually have about 2 pounds of amniotic fluid. Let's see, so then we will talk about the dilation and then the effacement of the cervix. I have a really good example of that with a balloon and a ball. So give me just a second, I'll be right back. All right, round two. So these are your uterus and your cervix, different stages. This would be your cervix. your cervix will dilate and efface. You're like, what does dilate and efface mean? Well, I'm going to show you. So it will actually thin out, which means efface. So let's say that this right here and here is your baby's head. This is going to be like your cervix. Your cervix is going to be closed. It's going to be like the neck of a sweater. You know, it's going to be, you're going to have a little bit of room here to wiggle. You know, and as far as dilation is how open the cervix is. So effacement is how thin, and dilation is how open. So you have your cervix here, and it's going to be, we have an example of the different dilations, you know. So we would have, you know, there we go. You just seeing a little bit, seeing a little more, and then a little bit more. That's your dilation. Now, your effacement is the thinning of, whoops, there that went, is the thinning of the cervix, like we said. So as the baby's head comes down, hold on. You got this. And as the head comes down, it's gonna thin this out. It's gonna move everything. And it's not actually like going away. It's just kind of moving it to the top. It's thinning it out and moving it to the top. So as the head comes on down, you see there's your cervix is around, the head is crowning. See, it's thinning and it's just kind of moving up to the top of the uterus. So it's not really going anywhere. It's just kind of thinning out. So as the baby's head progresses further down, then the cervix is completely 100% effaced. So that means it's thinned completely out. So you're at 100%. So, and then as the baby's head comes on out, and there you go, the baby's head is born. Woo! But yeah, there's that. So then we also have a thing called stations, which is your baby's head in relation to the pelvis and the bones. So you have -3, that's where he's kind of hanging out up here, you know. He's, hey there, how you doing? And so then you have -2, so he's kind of getting on in there. Which this baby doesn't actually fit, so let me find, not really like it's supposed to, it's not the one that goes with it. Here we go. So, he's coming on down. So, he's like +2, -2, excuse me. Then -1, and then 0 station is actually where his head lines up with the ischial spines, which is right down here, these things here. So, that's, you're kind of getting somewhere then. So then you go into plus stations. That's as the head comes on down. You've got +1, +2, and +3. So then you've got right here about the crowning. So there we go. Kind of tuck those in there. And then as the baby comes on out. There you go. There you go. So yeah, that's the station. It is basically just the relation of the baby's head to the bones in the pelvis. So what we talked about is we have the effacement of the cervix, which can go from 0 to 100%, and that's the thinning out of it as it moves up and the baby's head moves down. Then we have the dilation, which is the openness of the cervix as far as how much of the head, you know. We got that. It goes from 0 to 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters is going to be complete. But, I mean, it depends on the woman as far as, or the birthing person as far as, you know, how complete they have to be for the baby's head to come out. And you have the stations. Like we said, we would, you know, we would go by the effacement, the dilation, and the stations as far as how far the baby is in relation to the bones of the pelvis. So those are those terms. So then you also have the progression of labor, which I guess we can go ahead and talk about in this video as well, because you know, depends on the baby. You have pre-labor, early labor. This usually lasts, you know, a few hours to a few days, and that's like 0 to 6 centimeters. So we talked about that dilation, 0 to 6 centimeters. So then you have active labor, and it averages 1 to 8 hours, somewhere up in there, and it's usually 6 to 8 centimeters, somewhere up in there. Like I said, centimeters. And that's where contractions are about 3 to 5 minutes apart, and they're usually lasting about 60 seconds. So, you know, it gets a little more intense, but, you know, you can still kind of talk through it somewhat, you know. But then you get to transition, and that averages anywhere from 10 to 60 minutes, depending on the mom. And that's from like 8 to 10 centimeters dilated. Remember, our peace sign, dilated. And the contractions are usually 2 to 3 minutes apart, and they're usually lasting 60 to 90 seconds long. You know, in this stage in transition, this is where, you know, breath impressions, they're zoned out. They're in that zone, and this is where you'll start hearing, oh, I don't know if I can do this. This is too hard. You know, why did I do this? Or, well, you know, I don't think I can do this. They start doubting themselves. But that's when you just don't have much longer left. You know, that's transition. You're getting there. So, you know, then after that, usually they'll come like this resting phase. Things kind of slow down for just a minute, you know, 10 to 30 minutes, you know, dilation is complete, you know, contractions may kind of slow down, gives you a little break in between. And then second stage is actually pushing. That's when, you know, it gets down to it. So it averages 30 minutes to, you know, 2 hours, could be less, could be more, you know, you're completely dilated, so everything's ready to go. Contractions are about 5 minutes apart, 60 to 90 seconds long, somewhere up in there. And this is where you get to meet your baby, where you push the baby out. And then the third stage, that's where, you know, you have your baby in your arms and you're just waiting on the placenta to deliver. And, you know, it can be anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. You know, it could be up to an hour, possibly. Just kind of depends. Those contractions, though, are a little bit more mild and sporadic, you know, because you've already pushed the baby. The baby's already out, so that part's done. So now it's just the placenta, as we were talking about. So, and then that's all that has to come on out. But yeah, that's just a quick review of the stages of labor. We'll talk more about that and comfort measures in another video. But basically covered the anatomy and some more terms for during the process. Like we said, the placenta, you know, that's the baby's kind of hanging out. That's where he or she's living and growing. You got the uterus, that's where, you know, the placenta and everything's in. You got the umbilical cord. It's how they're eating, because they don't eat like we eat. They don't breathe like we breathe. So you got the amniotic fluid. That's the juice in the water, which this replenishes pretty often. So, but it's always good to stay hydrated and make sure you drink enough water. You get your cervix, which is what it's going to dilate in the face. Dilation is the, you know, there you go. And effacement is the thinning. So, and then everything moving up to the top, the baby's head moving down. You got the station, which we said is the relation of the baby's head to the bones in the pelvis. So, you know, you got your, like we said, the minuses, the 0 and the plus, and you know, like we said, the uterus and pelvic bones and the pelvic floor muscles. We'll go into that in another video as far as the importance of possibly having a pelvic floor specialist to, you know, at least see him at least one time during pregnancy to help, you know, get everything going like it should in the pelvic muscles. But yeah, that's a little overview of some anatomy and terms. Hope you guys have a great day. Like I said, always, if you have any questions or anything about what we talked about today, you can email us at info@southernhomegrown.com, or on our contact page on our website at southernhomegrown.com. Have a great day. Thanks.